Here I found what I was always looking for, the real paradise lands. This is how the first philosopher of the Kazakh steppe, Hasan Kaigi, wrote about Bay6anoul back in the 15th century. Centuries have passed, but still the Bay6anoul mountain range is called the pearl of not only Pavlodar region, but of the whole Kazakhstan. It is no accident that the first national park of Kazakhstan was created right here. After the park has been organized, the favorite resting place for residents of central and northern Kazakhstan became a tourist brand of the Republican scale. The beauty of the local landscapes is closely intertwined with history. Picturesque mountains and blue lakes of Bay6anoul have been attracting people since the Paleolithic times. On the territory of the park, archaeologists study the traces of the activities of the ancient civilizations, biologists a rich animal and plant world, and tourists enjoy the bizarre creations of water and wind, reminiscent of real works of art. Today, the team of the permanent outdoor KZ TV expedition is set off towards Bay6anoul from the capital of Kazakhstan, the city of Astana. The guys will have to travel 600 kilometers along the Great Steppe and visit the cities of Yeremyantau, Ekibastuz and Pavlodar and get acquainted with the secrets of Bay6anoul with the help of experienced specialists who devoted their lives to studying this amazing land. The wild nature of Kazakhstan is rich and diverse. For long centuries, mountains, steppes, deserts and forests were the best friends of those who loved and understood their native land. They gave men food, shelter, roof and hideaway from the enemies. Over time, our way of life has changed, but the nature still generously shares its wealth with us. At present, the landscapes and biological diversity of Kazakhstan attract an increasing number of tourists and lovers of active recreation. Together with a permanent outdoor KZ TV expedition, you will visit the most beautiful pictorial places of Kazakhstan and learn how experienced travelers survive in the wild. Meeting with the first representatives of the wild world of the Akmola region occurred immediately outside of Astana. The wild duck with a brood crosses the route. She stumbles upon a young rabbit in the roadside grass. Everybody escapes with a slight shock, and our cameraman received his first shots. 150 kilometers to the northeast of Astana, the route passes by the city of Yeremyantau. Outside the city on the hills, the blades of giant wind power stations are slowly spinning. Now there is no wind, but in general in the eastern plains of the Akmola region, alternative sources of energy fully justify themselves. There is a monument to Bogenbay Batyr at the entrance to the city. At a mature age, having completed his military career, the famous commander was carried away by the gunsmithing. The last years of his life he spent in the east of Sari Arka, where in those days the metallurgical industry was concentrated. Bogenbay gathered experienced masters around him, and he himself was not immune to physical work. He suggested that Khan Abdelmambet learn the production of main guns and shotguns, but his ideas overtook his age. Batyr died in these places, and his body was transported on a white camel to the city of Turkestan and was buried near the mausoleum of Khoja Ahmet Yasawi. In his youth, Bogenbay Batyr was an unsurpassed master of martial arts. There used to be a custom in the Great Steppe to begin the battle with a duel of the best bogatirs. Such fights sometimes could prevent the very battle. Having become famous as an invincible fighter, Bogenbay Batyr in the most dangerous period for the Kazakh people took responsibility for the military leadership of the United Militia. Later he acted as a military instructor for the young Abilay Khan. Steppe sages said, "It is better to be survived by a good name than by the mountains of gold." Bogenbay Batyr managed to leave a priceless inheritance of the undying love of descendants. The car continues to wind miles of the endless steppe on the wheels. The expedition crosses the border between Akmola and Pavlodar regions. Traveling in space, members of the expedition simultaneously travel in time. From the 18th century, they get immediately to the 19th century. The city of Ekibastuz was founded in 1898 on the site of a coal mine. Ekibastuz is literally translated from Kazakh language as two heads of salt. According to the legend, the master of ore mining Kosum Pshembaev, once having stumbled upon the exit of coal, designated this place with two pieces of salt. But this is just a legend. Most likely this area got its name in the ancient times. The coal reserves of Ekibastuz proved to be truly inexhaustible. The Bogatyr coal mine produces more than 50 million tons of coal annually. By volume, it is included in the Guinness Book of Records. As we move to the east, the landscapes gradually change. Boundless plains give way to a hilly terrain. The outcrops of granite rocks and the first pines appear, and soon the expedition finds itself in a real oasis, the land of innumerable lakes, rocks and pine forests. The name of Bay6anoul comes from the Mongolian word Bayan Ola, which means a safe mountain or rich pastures. According to another version, the name of the mountain is associated with the name of the beautiful Bayan, the character of the folk epos Kozy, Kopesh and Bay6anoul.
До свидания, друзья!
Счастливого пути!
Прощайте!
The Bay6anoul mountain range has experienced a long geological history, since the Paleozoic wind and water erosion has been destroying granite and basalt rocks, creating intricate heaps of stones reminiscent of sculptures of fantastic animals. In ancient times, when people endowed natural objects with sacral force, unusual natural sculptures served as an object of worship. Many of them till this day attract people who wish to be cured of various ailments. The highest point of Bay6anoul, the Akbet mountain, has a height of 1027 meters. Meltwater and springs have formed a network of freshwater lakes in the intermountain depressions. The largest of them are the lakes of Sabundekol, Jasibay, Toraygir and Bijankol. On the shore of the lake Jaselkol there is a popular beach recreation center. Clean sand and clear water attract thousands of tourists here from Kazakhstan and abroad. After the organization of the National Park of Bay6anoul in the vicinity of the lake, hiking trails and cognitive routes are organized. According to the legend, the lake was named in honor of Batyr Jasibay, a comrade in arms of the generals Malaysary and Oljabay. In 1741, when Abelai was imprisoned by the ruler of the Oirat power, Galdan Teren, the Jungars began the march from the Irtysh towards Bay6anoul. Back then, the Kazakh militia was led by an experienced military commander Oljabay. He placed his nephew Jasibay at the head of one of the detachments. In the town of Aken Kokdonbak, Jasibay's detachment defeated the Jungar army. Jasibay was skilled in this battle, but his name remained in the people's memory. Marina Karimova, the president of the Federation of Alpinism of the Pavlodar region, became our guide to the National Park of Bay6anoul. Marina devoted many years to the study of the landmarks of the region. She developed dozens of interesting routes for both adults and children and approved them with the Department of the Tourism Industry.
Я не занимаюсь коммерческим туризмом, я занимаюсь с детьми.
I'm not engaged in commercial tourism. I work with children, teaching them tourism. We cooperate in these terms with the National Park, local Archimart and archaeologists. The tourism for children and youth is very special. It teaches the love to the motherland, to the nature. It makes children get acquainted with the region. This includes archaeology, geology, eco-friendly campaigns and so on. A child having grown up in the environment will never become antisocial. The romance is still here. Songs at the campfire, the love to the nature, all that remains in our hearts and souls of our children.
Все это осталось в наших сердцах и в сердцах наших детей. Над Жасыбаем все лето дожди, струй серебристых полет. И от меня ты привета не жди, в сердце надежда живет. Горное солнце вернется опять, встав высоко над Акбет. Ветер игривый пошлет облака, в них прочитаешь привет. А ты там, а я здесь, а я здесь, а ты там. То ли нас разлучил, то ли объединил наш любимый баян. А ты там, а я здесь, а я здесь, а ты там. То ли нас разлучил, то ли объединил наш любимый баян.
The country road to Corne-Raulier cave winds among the slight stony ridges covered with pine forests. There is a legend connected to this cave. During the world flood, the three saints, Auliers, connected pine logs and built a raft. During the storm, the raft fell apart into three parts and the saints have been scattered in different directions. A part of the raft on which the soothsayer Corne escaped was nailed to the mountain. Corne found a cave and settled there. In his honor, the cave was named Corne-Raulier. This cave as a place of worship was mentioned in the notes of Shokan Velikanov and Grigory Potanin. The last one mentioned was born in the village of Bay6anoul and used to hike in the local mountains in his childhood. Apparently, these early impressions had a great influence on the formation of the future researcher of Central Asia. An unusual person, Altenbek Kulmanov, acquainted us with the cave. In his youth, Altenbek often used to talk with the academician Alkay Margolan and heard a lot of interesting and informative things about the history of his native land from the famous researcher. In 1978, it was his last visit here. He was at the age of 74. He told us fascinating legends. Let me show you. The founder of the Kazakh School of Archaeology and Ethnography, academician Alkay Margolan, was born in the Bay6anoul district. During his long life, the academician conducted excavations of ancient cities throughout Kazakhstan, but Bay6anoul always took a special place in his scientific interests. Alkay Margolan tells that before the Muslim religion appeared in the great Turanian steppe, the first Turks believed in Tengri. Those tribes that lived here at that time, after the death of old Khagans, elected new Khagans right here. Here the ancestors of the Aksakals, noble healers, were sitting, and here at the bottom the people were. They sacrificed and thought of a great young Khagan. A long wooden staircase leads to the cave. It was built long time ago, but it is being updated and repaired from time to time. The philosophy of many religions uses both ethical and educational methods. Pilgrims who come to ask their higher powers of healing or solving their problems must pass some tests. At least climb to the top of the mountain. The climb is not very difficult, but it has a symbolic significance. People enter like this, to the right side. When you are coming back from here, you turn to the right. Do you see this space? Why? Because it was a dome of a temple, a sacred place. People who came to make a wish do not enter with their back forward. Inside the dark cave, a barely perceptible wind blows all the time. From the outside world draws a warm air, and from the depth of the cave, the cold one. This symbolic border between the two worlds was used by ancient shamans to perform their rituals. The water which condenses on the walls of the cave was considered a holy one. At this place, the ancient Turkic scriptures are stamped. Alkay Magulan used to say that here the Kagan Ulu, Turugu, is written, which means the throne of a Kagan. There is a stone at my foot. Do you see the stone? Here the inauguration of young Kagans happened. They gave a vow to the Aksakals, healers, ancestors and the people. The second part of the cave is called a night's lodging. It thought to be the symbol of the other world in ancient times because the sun cannot reach it. The young Kagan standing here said, "This is the other world and this is the world. This is the temple of the god." Standing here at the interface of the two worlds, I promise my people to be honest and worthy, to protect the defenseless ones and to feed the hungry ones, to lead my people over the traces of the ancestors. Everything has changed with the advent of Islam. In the sacred Quran it is written that we cannot worship stones, water or fire. Then the leaders of Islam began to break here all the stone symbols of the old faith. Here they broke off a piece and erased the inscriptions from above. Then this cave turned into a mosque. The mullahs used to read namaz here for the sake of peace and harmony with everybody, and this continues till present day. In the depth of the cave, with a dim illumination of the flashlight, Altenbek Aha became suddenly looked like a priest of an ancient temple. Do you see these bones? These are not human ones. These are left from the sacrifices left by people who wanted to be cured. Deepening into the body of the rock, the cave narrows and goes up. The member of outdoor KZ team Alken Aitimov managed to get into the cave much deeper than others.
Очень узкое, тесное пространство. В полный рост здесь стать не получится, здесь надо на четвереньках.
It is very narrow and tight space. It is impossible to stand in a full length here. You need to crawl on all fours. Now we crawl to the sacred cup. It is very damp here. Here some people leave notes with their wishes written.
Пишут свои пожелания.
In order to find out all the secrets Altenbek Aha could have shared with us, we would have to live on his cordon for many years. But it's time for us to continue our journey. The first days of the expedition showed that Bay6anoul fully justifies its name. These are truly rich mountains. Nature generously endowed this region with literally everything: the beauty of nature, archaeological discoveries, mineral resources of the subsoil, and, which is the most important, talented people. They say that in the depth of the Bay6anoul mountains, in the most difficult to approach valley, the rock of talent is hidden. It is not easy to get there, but those who manage to do it reach the outstanding heights in their profession. We honestly search for this rock all day long, drifting on steep rocks, falling into the rain, losing our way more than once and even losing the hope. By the end of the day, we were exhausted, but to be honest, we were not completely sure that among the hundreds of picturesque rocks that we managed to find, there was actually the rock of talent. But we knew that dozens of natives of Bay6anoul have found it. The number of talented people born in the vicinity of these mountains is amazing. They are scientists, writers, artists, military leaders and politicians. Bukar Jirao Kalkamanoli, an outstanding bee, poet and narrator. Malasari Batir, Batir commander, bee associate of Abelai Khan. Jasibai Omiruli, Batir and military commander. Janak Janabatiruli, B. Batir and foreman. Jamat Shanin, stage manager, founder and director of the first Kazakh theatre. Sultan Makhmut Toraygirov, poet, writer, founder of the Kazakh classical literature. Kanish Satpayev, founder of the Kazakh geology, founder-organizer of the National Academy of Sciences and its first president. Abiken Bekturov, chemist, academician of the Academy of Sciences of Kazakh SSR, one of the founders of General and A Biochemistry. Alkay Magulan, academician of the Academy of Sciences of Kazakh SSR, founder of the Archaeological School in Kazakhstan. Shapik Shokin, founder of the Energy Science in Kazakhstan, academician. Shaken Aymanov, actor, stage and film director, founder of the Kazakh cinematography, People's Artist of the USSR. Yemukan Bekmakanov, historian, corresponding fellow of the Academy of Sciences of Kazakh SSR. Abulkaz Saginov, academician of the Academy of Sciences of Kazakh SSR, hero of socialist labor. Kalel Agenbayev, archaeologist, doctor of historical sciences, professor, founder of the Kazakh School of Ethnographers. Olja Suleimanov, poet, writer, literature expert, public and political figure, diplomat.
Но то, что на Земле существуют места, где талантливые люди рождаются гораздо чаще, чем обычно.
This is a proven fact, so to say that there are places where talented people are born more often than anywhere else. Why is this happening? There are three answers to this question. The first, which is the oldest one, gives a magical explanation to phenomenon. If a pregnant woman touches the rock of talent or bathes a baby in a magical spring, he or she will grow into a superhero like Achilles, Hercules or Alpamis Bater.
Achilles!
Лев Гумилев для объяснения этого феномена ввел специальный термин.
Leo Gumilov introduced the concept of passionarity to explain this phenomenon. By this word, derived from the Latin passio, which means passion, he called the ability of some people to super-concentrate on one, usually transpersonal, super goal. Such people change the world. They, just like magnetic inducers, infect everything around with their energy, and everything starts spinning at a furious pace. In the Gumilov's theory, everything is explained quite logically and consistently, except for the reasons for the occurrence of such passionarity explosions. This explanation is also a little magical. He considers passionarity explosions as a consequence of some inexplicable cosmic radiation. But there is also the third explanation. It is the simplest one and almost do not sin against the natural scientific description of the world. And the key to it lies in the very name of the area, Bay6anoul. Bay6anoul, the rich mountains, rich pastures and subsoil, and beautiful nature. Meaning these places attracted the most successful and the most educated people of their eras. Naturally, they gave their children a better education, hence the percentage of realized talents was higher. There might have been no less talented children in some other places, they just were less likely to realize their talents. The freakish beauty of rocks and stones give birth to lots of legends. They turn an ordinary hike into a trip to the fairy tale country. This rock was called Kempertas, or the Old Witch. From one side, it resembles an evil sorceress from folk tales, and from the other, a character of the alien fantastic blockbuster. There is a rock called the Dove of the World, which, according to the legend, gives people a peace of mind. There is a fertility rock also, which helps people from infertility. Hiking in the national park is becoming more popular year by year. In fact, you won't be able to see all those beauties and wonders that a walking tour can give from the car. Yelena Romanyeskul is an experienced rock climber and a mountain guide. Tourists can be sure that they are not threatened by any danger accompanied by such a guide. Yelena is always on the alert, and if you are about breaking into the linn, at the last moment she will grab you by the scruff of your neck and pull out onto the hard ground. After we got some ideas about ethnographic studies in the park, the time came to test ourselves as geologists. Under the guidance of our guides Marina Karimova and Yelena Romanescu, we go in search of gems. "65 million years ago, it was hot in the Bay6anoul Mountains. One of the most powerful volcanoes on the continent bubbled here. Lava flows belched the entire Mendeleev stable from the depth of the earth. A native of these places, academician Kanish Satbayev, wrote that the Bay6anoul mountain knot is a real treasure of valuable minerals. Archaeologists have found the first primitive mines dating back to the 2nd millennium BC. We make our way to the old mine through a narrow gorge. The terrain evokes the motifs from the tales of the Mountain King. Just as on a precipice of a steep canyon one can observe a layered pie of geological epochs, different stages of the development of metallurgy and mining are layered on each other in this gorge. Bay6anoul was one of the centers of ore production of the Bronze Age. The remains of settlements with elements of ancient melting furnaces were found here. On the site of ancient excavations you can find picturesque ruins of mines dating by the 17th and 18th centuries, and on top of them the geological exploration shafts of the Soviet period. The miners have always considered quartz as a mineral that accompanies gold. The pure mountain quartz, also called the rock crystal, in the Middle Ages was considered an independent precious stone. Ancient Greek philosophers believed that rock crystal is ice turned into stone. The weather is getting worse. It begins raining, but the search for noble stones is so fascinating that the members of the outdoor KZ team do not want to turn back. Among the ancient wreckages, one can find artifacts of material culture of different epochs. A rusty pickaxe of a gold miner, or the tip of an arrow, or even a stone axe of an ancient man. In the first half of the 19th century, the ore deposits of Bay6anoul were developed by the Popov's miners' dynasty. Then the Englishman Urquhart bought the concession. In the modern mineral and raw materials complex of the Republic of Kazakhstan, Pavlodar region takes one of the leading places. There are 89 deposits of common minerals in the region. These are raw materials for the production of various building materials for the needs of industry and other purposes. The total value of the balanced reserves of solid useful minerals of Pavlodar-Irtysh land is estimated at $460 billion. Some of the deposits have been successfully developed for a long time. Additional geological prospecting works are being carried out on some others. Real volumes of minerals and mining conditions are being specified. The crater of the Malachite mine resembles a Martian landscape. In ancient times, malachite ore was used to produce copper. Dense varieties of malachite with a beautiful pattern are considered precious stones. Malachite was used to decorate various items of luxury, precious vases, bowls, and interior surfaces. Covered with malachite, luxury items were often being presented to crowned persons and foreign diplomats. In small quantities, malachite has been mined in the Bay6anoul Mountains since ancient times, and in the late 20th century significant reserves of this valuable mineral were discovered. Considering the fact that the reserves of the malachite in the Ural Mountains are almost exhausted, this discovery acquires special value. Of course, after visiting the deposit, the expedition members should try to find some souvenirs themselves. Let it be not a precious malachite box, but at least a quartz crystal of a regular shape. Well, Alkan and I have found two excellent crystals. We can continue our expedition with a sense of accomplishment. After all, we take a piece of the Bay6anoul Mountains with us. It will remind us of this wonderful corner of Kazakhstan for the entire life.